Hello and welcome to that football show here on YouTube, the YouTube channel for all things football. I'm Stanley and I'm back again after last weekend's Premier League action and some midweek action in the Champions League, those glorious European nights. So I'm going to get back into the Premier League action and predictions and another weekend of Premier League predictions. So on to the Friday night football, 8 o'clock kickoff from Carrow Road, Norwich City versus Watford. It's going to be another tight game between these two teams, both in the relegation zone. Norwich had a run of spell where they've done well and just seem to have dropped off a cliff recently, whereas Watford haven't been performing well all season, to be honest. I'm going to go straight into this, and there's not really much to say about the two teams, so I'm just going to go straight for a score prediction here. Norwich City 1, Watford 1. That's for that one. Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. It's going to be an interesting game between the two sides, this one. Another one of the many derbies that are played in London, and obviously Chelsea in the week had that dramatic 4-4 draw in the Champions League with Ajax, and Palace last Sunday lost 2-0 at home to Leicester City, which helped Leicester City retain their third place in the Premier League. I think obviously it's going to be an interesting weekend of Premier League football. It's going to be an interesting game. I think Chelsea with the youngsters are starting to, as I said, they're growing more in this thing. Obviously, they're doing better than everyone expected them to so far this season, but obviously it's early days still as well. I think with Chelsea, they perform well. They perform well, the youngsters are, and I think, but it's a big blow with Mason Mount getting injured in the week. Will he be fit enough to play? Probably not. He might be out for a few weeks by the looks of things. But it's good of Reece James, who came in the week and scored, become Chelsea's youngest goal scorer in the Champions League, and they've got all these young players, and it's for years Chelsea just brought, and they've had all these players in the youth system, and now they've had this transfer ban, they've had to play them, and now they can show what they're doing, like Tanny Abraham, who's been on loan to Swansea and Aston Villa in previous seasons, to name just two of the clubs he's been on loan to. It's good to see him in form as well for Chelsea. Crystal Palace have done fairly well. They've been in the top half of the table this season, and they got a good result a few weeks back away to West Ham in controversial circumstances with the VAR. But looking into this game, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Chelsea. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Burnley versus West Ham. I was just speaking about West Ham, wasn't I? And obviously, last time out they got a draw against Sheffield United and a couple of weeks ago, and obviously Burnley last week didn't perform well, and they lost to Sheffield United 3-0 away from home in a lacklustre performance, with Lundstrom scoring twice for Sheffield United. I think it's going to be interesting to see how West Ham perform away from home. I think Burnley got good home form, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for West Ham. Newcastle versus Bournemouth. I'm going to start off with the away team in this one. Bournemouth did very well last week against Manchester United, very dominant display, tactical display, and they got the 1-0 win with a wonderful goal from Josh King with that acrobatic effort. Poor United defending in the build-up to the goal, but it was well taken finish by the former Manchester United Blackburn Rovers man. And Josh King is a good player, a very decent player for Bournemouth, to be honest, because he's one of these players that he's not considered to break into a top 6 club, but he's more of a mid-table player. But he performs well for Bournemouth. Even when he's not scoring goals, he's constantly making those runs and causing trouble. Looking at Newcastle as well, they got the 3-2 win away to West Ham last week with John Joe Shelby scoring an absolute worldie of a free kick. I didn't expect Newcastle to get the result last week. They did switch off after the 3-0 lead and conceded too late on, but I didn't expect them to get the result away to West Ham. It depends on which Newcastle turns up. Is it the Newcastle that played Wolves the other week and were a bit lacklustre and only just managed to get a draw? Or will it be the Newcastle that got the result at West Ham? I personally think that Bournemouth have got too much in it for Newcastle and will win 2-1 away from home at St James's Park. It seems to be a happy hunting ground for them. Southampton versus Everton. Now, I want to say, wish a speedy recovery to Andre Gomez, who had the injured his ankle last week and had that in that challenge with Heung-min Son. And my thoughts are with him in speedy recovery. I think Everton did well to get the draw against Tottenham last week. It was a lacklustre first half, and it only really sparked into life after that Dele Alli goal, after that Alex Iwobi mistake, I think. But after the injury, Everton seemed to, obviously Heung-min Son, Tottenham went down to 10 men, but Everton seemed to pick up themselves, and they got that late equaliser in the 97th minute with the 12 minutes added on. And obviously Southampton haven't been performing well. They're in the relegation zone. They're struggling. They have been struggling. They lost 9-0 to Leicester a couple of weeks ago. They lost 2-1 to Manchester City last week. 3-1 in the cup, 2-1 in the league. And we're very unlucky in that game. Really, they performed better than they have all season. I think with this one, it's going to be a 2-2 draw between the two sides because Everton's away form is woeful. It's shocking. Southampton haven't performed well at home, but I think they'll have enough to trouble Everton's defence, and I think it'll be 2-2. Spurs versus Sheffield United. Like I said, Sheffield United absolutely dominated Burnley last week, smashed them off the park with a 3-0 win. Tottenham Hotspur got that draw last week where they probably should have won, but obviously with the dropping down to 10 men with the final 10 minutes. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Tottenham Hotspur. Late kick-off, Leicester versus Arsenal. Been hit and miss recently. They got a 1-1 draw with Wolves last week, and obviously Leicester City keep on just churning out results, and they got a result last week. I'm going to go. It's going to be a tight game, and Leicester City have a good record against Arsenal, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Leicester City in that game, and I expect Jamie Vardy to score again against Arsenal. On to the Sunday, Super Sunday, Manchester United versus Brighton. Brighton have done fairly well this season. I expect them to struggle, but they've done well. Manchester United have been struggling. They lost last week to Bournemouth away from home, as I mentioned in the preview for the Bournemouth game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Manchester United today because they seem to just be able to scrape results at home, and I think Brighton's away form. Be interested to see. They've got the potential to get a result. Got a result at Old Trafford a couple of years ago, but I don't know. There's just something tells me Manchester United will get a result in this game, so I'm going to go for 2-0 for Manchester United. On to Wolves versus Aston Villa. They have a 2 o'clock game. It's another derby. It's a Midlands derby. It's between two sides that Wolves have done fairly well, and they got a good result on the way to Arsenal last week. Aston Villa lost to Liverpool last week. Late on, Liverpool with another late show with Robertson and Mane getting late goals in the final 5 minutes, and then Robbie Mane in the 93rd in injury time. Villa performed fairly well in that game for the most part. Obviously, there was the controversy with Firmino's offside, which is ridiculous because you can't play a ball with your arms, so you can't be offside with that. And the fact that Atkinson was angling the lines to make him look offside, but let's not go into that. Aston Villa, and take nothing away from Villa. Great goal from the free kick, ball whipped in. Trezeguet comes in around the back, knocks the ball into the back of net. Great finish from him. And obviously Liverpool in the second half, late on, just turned the screw, just turned up the style. Great ball in, Robertson header, scoring header for his career, which is a very rarity for him. And it's very rare for fullbacks to score, but let alone a header from him. And then obviously Sadio Mane scoring a header from the corner late on to win it. It's a heartbreak for Villa, but they might see if they can try and get revenge in the Carabao Cup quarter-final on 17th of December. But anyway, Wolves got a result at the Emirates last week. Arsenal took the lead early on with Aubameyang, and then obviously they seemed to fall asleep, and it was Jimenez with the equaliser for Wolves in what was a fairly decent away performance. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game because I think both sides cancelled each other out, plus with Wolves playing in Europe on Thursday, there might be a bit of fatigue in there, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And on to the biggest game of the weekend, the crunch clash between Liverpool and Manchester City, the champions and the champions of Europe. How's this going to go? Wow, last season it was a 0-0 draw at Anfield, followed by a 2-1 win for City at the Etihad. And in that game at Anfield, City squandered a late chance to get a very rare win at Anfield. They haven't won since 2003, when Riyad Mahrez fired a late penalty over the crossbar into Rose Ed in the Anfield Road end. Well, we're going to have to look at it at this fixture again. How close do we think it's going to be? We've had the games in the Champions League 2 seasons ago as well. We had the controversy with the bus before the game. There'll be another coach greeting at Anfield from what I understand on Sunday, so that's going to be an interesting one ahead of that. But on the pitch, it's both teams. Manchester City have the money, they have the players, and they're a fairly recent team, and they've won the league title. Like Liverpool want to win the Premier League, they've done that. But Liverpool are champions of Europe. They've been there, they've done that. They've won 18 league titles, just not the Premier League, sadly. From a Liverpool fan's perspective here, they've won everything bar the Premier League in the game. They've in the Club World Cup. They've got to win that as well in December. Try and win that. But Manchester City have not won the Champions League either. So both clubs won the trophy that the others wanted last season. So Liverpool won the 6 European Cup. Delighted. Amazing scenes in Madrid for that. But Manchester City are longing for their first Champions League crown, whereas Liverpool along for their first Premier League title, and leave Man City close by 1 point last season, just losing it on the last day. It was tough. It was tough as a Liverpool fan, but it's one of those things. You're proud of the team, and they did well, and they managed to win the European Cup. So, but into this game, both teams got players that tight. Manchester City, Ederson's a doubt for this game with injury, picked up in the Champions League game. Will he be fit? I don't know. It could just be mind games that City are playing. It's like Pep Guardiola's comments about Sadio Mane being a diver, which is ridiculous because he's not a diver. Just because a player's gone down to minimal contact doesn't mean he dived all the time. But hey, it's just a bit of the mind games. I think, looking at this game, it's going to be down to the attacks and the defence. The defence, City have got weaknesses in their defence this season because they've lost Laporte a few months ago, and he's not going to be out till New Year. Till New Year. They're missing Sané. Stones has been injured. They've had to play in recent weeks Fernandinho and Rodri at the back. Will Rodri be fit? De Bruyne, is he going to be fit still? And David Silva's a doubt, but I still think he'll play. I still think he'll overcome a late fitness test. Whereas Liverpool got players back, most of their players back from injury, and obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain's been in form for Liverpool, been key, scoring 4 goals in his last 4 games. I would start him in the midfield 3 along with Fabinho and Jorginho Wijnaldum. People might say that's a big call to drop Jordan Henderson. Nothing wrong with Jordan Henderson personally, but I just think the attacking flair and the ability and stability of Ox and Wijnaldum will cause City problems in the middle of the park, and they can just keep on running and running and running. Bring Henderson on the second half and try and seal up the midfield and make it more solid for Fabinho. Obviously, good call last week from Jurgen Klopp to keep to rest Fabinho for this game, to keep him fresh because he's on 1 yellow card away from suspension. So good decision there. I think the attack wise, it depends on who City going to play. Are they going to play Jesus, who missed a penalty in the Champions League in a week, or are they going to go with Aguero up top with Raheem Sterling? And whoever they pick to go on the other flank, would it be Mahrez? I don't know. It's going to be interesting because City got the abundance to play. De Bruyne, who I think will play a big part as well. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right hand side. That Gary Lineker said in the week he would like to see play De Bruyne over Liverpool, but maybe in the future. I think it's one of these games. It's going to be tight. If Liverpool win, they go 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. If City win, they drop the gap to 3 points. If it's a draw, it's actually way over the 6 point gap. These games. Basically, the defeat at the Etihad is what cost Liverpool the title last season, and I think Liverpool need to win this game at Anfield if they're going to try and push for the title this season. But my prediction is a 1-1 draw because these games are always tight between the two sides. They always manage to cancel each other out. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and it's going to be interesting though because, like I said, it's going to be down to the defences and the attacks of this team. Will Liverpool's front 3 cause trouble, or will City's front 3 cause the most trouble? For Liverpool's defence, I'm not sure. With City having a weakened defence, you might lean towards Liverpool. And being a Liverpool fan, I'd like to lean towards Liverpool, but these games are so tight that for me, I think it's going to be a draw. So that's been my Premier League predictions. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.